AEW time once again on this channel. We're about to hit a grand slam, a freaking, like, we're not going to strike out on this pod. I was trying to think
Absolutely not.
I was trying to think of a baseball reference, but, you know, screw me, I guess. Screw me.
And here we go again. This is the second month in a row where this weekend was a pretty big weekend for wrestling. We had Dynamite Grand Slam on Wednesday. We had Rampage Grand Slam on Saturday. And just last night, which we will be reviewing tomorrow, we had Extreme Rules 2021, or as we're going to call it, Unextreme Rules. More on that later. I'll leave it at that.
Yes, stay tuned for that Extreme Rules pod. And for those of you who are expecting it to be so soon out of, you know, all this recording going on my channel, you know, real life also happens. We also have day jobs. So I do appreciate your guys' patience, all sarcasm aside. You know, Tomas has a brand new recording outlet, it looks like. Higher quality Tomas, you know.
Oh, yeah. We've
video.
upgraded.
Yeah, here we are. Well, here we are, AEW Grand Slam 2021 over an episode of Dynamite and Rampage all over the past week. If you guys are new to the channel and this new game that Tomas and I are playing every single month, of course, talking about Grand Slam right now, Extreme Rules tomorrow. Hit that subscribe button to keep up to date. We are on the road to 1,000 here on the channel. Hopefully we can reach that by the end of the year. I really do appreciate your guys' support up to this point. And hit that thumbs up also, because we're going to be discussing some fun stuff on this channel coming up, especially over the next month. But Grand Slam, this was the fun facts, Tomas, the largest non-WWE wrestling show since 1999. Think about that.
Yep, I've been hearing the statistics. AEW kind of making history here. This is the big show that's been advertised for a few months now. This was AEW's kind of goal since getting back on the road. And yeah, they booked at Archer Stadium. There was 20,000 fans in attendance in New York tonight. And it was a fantastic view. Talking about the aesthetic as first, looking at the stage, it really didn't make a difference. When they got the bird's eye view of the stadium, you saw how packed it was. And this was, and the crowd, you could hear them all night. Between both shows, the crowd was hot, and you can tell there was a lot of Jack fans. Looking at this card, not counting the dark and dark elevation matches that they also did, there was 14 matches on this card.
God,
including dark elevation. Apparently, Paul White destroyed 3 jobbers in a 3-on-1 handicap match.
Of course,
Thunder Rose defeated Kayla Sparks, and the Dark Order defeated Dean Alexander, Kevin Tibbs, TJ Crawford, and Eric James. So it looks like that was a fun little pre-card there.
Excuse me.
But we opened.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Here we go. On
We're
Dynamite.
pulling up the big guns here.
You know, Tony Khan has a lot of balls to put this one on first. Sorry to cut you off, but like, oh my God, like when I figured out this was opening with a new signee, his name is Bryan Danielson, I guess his name is, one of the best wrestlers in the world. I hope you guys have heard of him by this point. He is going up against the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Kenny Omega. Once again, a dream match. Again, Tony Khan has a big set of cojones for putting this on first. But, you know, the crowd was so hot for it. I can't help but smile at that huge pop that Bryan Danielson got on his way out to the ring. But that
first things first, because this is my first time talking about Bryan Danielson on this channel. And one thing I noticed during this entrance, he is so genuinely over that he is in AEW and he's not relying on the yes chant anymore. No. I noticed that right away. Well, and it does not look like he's going to need to rely on that yes chant.
Yeah, well, it's also because like he wants to respect WWE's intellectual property, because he did put out that article saying thank you WWE. He's like putting Vince McMahon over huge, which is not something a lot of people do nowadays. He can't help but smile on his way out to the ring.
Yeah.
This is a fresh start. A fresh start.
The only other thing about Danielson I want to bring up is it's still very weird to not see him in WWE. Like, I've had to, when it comes to wrestler, quote unquote, name changes, I've been able to adjust pretty well, calling Miro not Rusev, calling, anybody else that's made the jump from AEW to WWE to AEW pretty simply. I still catch myself calling him Daniel Bryan.
Me too.
Hell, I've even trained myself to say Paul White instead of Big Show. I can't help but call Danielson Daniel Bryan. And it just feels so weird. It's just like, he's been under that WWE umbrella for like 11 years now, 12 years. And here he is, still going, and he's here in AEW, still same look, still same gear. He's back to being the American Dragon. And, it's just so mind-blowing to see where Danielson is now.
It is absolutely mind-blowing. That's the best way I could possibly describe it. But, for some reason, it just feels so right to see the American Dragon again at this point in his career. Because, you're hearing one of my personal favorite chants in all of wrestling. You're gonna get your fucking head kicked in! And they clap along with it. It is fantastic. The crowd is so loud doing those chants. And there's a huge pop for a lock-up. For a lockup, a collar and elbow tie-up. The crowd is popping like crazy, which is insane. Tony Schiavone pointed that out. And I'm like, holy shit, he's right. They're popping for a lockup,
Oh, yeah. And let me tell you, in the first few minutes of this match, I never thought I would say this statement. But when it comes to wrestling, Danielson was taking Kenny Omega to school.
Yes.
Whenever
100%.
Danielson gets... When anybody gets into a wrestling match with Bryan Danielson, sit down, son. You're the student. The teacher is going to take you to school. I don't care who you are. And the first thing that comes to mind is I would love to see a 2021 Bryan Danielson versus like a 2006 Kurt Angle. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that?
You're freaking torturing me now. Oh my God. Like the wrestling machine Kurt Angle, who is the world heavyweight champion on SmackDown. You're talking that Kurt Angle, right? Okay, not ECW Kurt Angle, because I
obviously ECW Angle. But yeah, in the first few minutes of this match, I just realized that it does not matter who you put Danielson in the ring with. It's a chain wrestling classic, and Danielson takes you to school.
And Danielson is outsmarting Kenny Omega early on with kicks. And did you notice that Danielson's chest is beat red already, a la the Greatest Royal Rumble? Like,
I don't know what it is about Danielson, but this kid bruises like a banana. Like, no matter what.
He bruises like a freaking peach. Like
exactly,
it's insane. But Danielson locks in one of my favorite submission holds from when he was on the Indies, the cattle mutilation, and they called it the cattle mutilation properly. Thank you so much, Excalibur, because WWE would never call it the cattle mutilation. And I'm like, this is proper Bryan Danielson moveset here. And they're
I remember when Danielson did cattle mutilation during a WWE match, and I called it that. And I was watching it with Brittany, and she looks over at me and she says, wait a minute, he's vegan, but he has a move called cattle mutilation. I'm like, I never realized that. I never realized that. That is brilliant. That is fucking brilliant.
Shout out to Brittany, by the way, with the cattle mutilation comment there. That is amazing. But Daniel Bryan, son of a bitch. See, I'm catching myself now calling him Daniel Bryan. But he does hit the Busaiku knee, which was his finisher for the longest time, off the top rope. And then outside, he is hitting what used to be the yes kicks in WWE, but the crowd still chants yes as he does them. But, the American Dragon's not doing them. He's got a vulgar mouth on him. So, the only thing missing from this match was him yelling at the official, I have till 5.
Exactly.
I wanted that so badly. But, in due time. And
have you noticed in this match, there's one thing I did notice. Obviously, when Danielson came back to pro wrestling in 2018, obviously he was looking out for himself. His fellow peers were looking out for him as well. He wasn't taking a lot of head and neck bumps, obviously, because of his neck and because of the concussions. I don't know if he's just used to it now or he's just conditioned again, but all of that went out the window because Danielson was taking some nasty bumps in this match that I was scared for him, though. He takes a dragon suplex on the ramp, that glass ramp, and I feared for Danielson's life right there. He must have had all the trust in the world to Kenny Omega to trust him to drop him on his head outside of the ring like that.
I couldn't help but yell when I saw that. I was so scared that Danielson just got paralyzed before my eyes. But thankfully he was okay, and he takes the biggest V-trigger I've ever seen in my life. Kenny Omega,
that was my favorite spot of the match.
Kenny Omega, who should not be overlooked, by the way, because, he's still the goddamn world heavyweight champion, of course. Like, he gets a running start on this V-trigger, and Bryan Danielson's sell of it is just fantastic. Like, you know, Sheamus would freaking put him out for, like, I don't know, like, how long was he out? Like 3 years with a concussion? Like when Sheamus would do like kick him as hard as he freaking could in the head, and then like he would have those like palpitations or something like that. Like, God, yeah. And Danielson was doing that, but
started at the beginning, after all the way at the entrance ramp, full sprint down that ramp and that V trigger. Oh, that was my favorite spot of the match. That's when I knew we were in for a clinic. From the start, but when Omega hit that V trigger, it's like, damn, this was excellent. Was excellent.
You want me to bury the lead, Tomas? This was my second favorite match of the whole year, only behind the steel cage match between the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros at All Out, which Tomas
was excellent.
I should note gave 6 stars. He broke the Meltzer scale. But Daniel Bryan almost pinned Kenny Omega with a roll-up. Mr. Small Package himself almost comes through. And it's at this
definitely point, I felt like I was watching Ring of Honor Bryan Danielson during this match because he was pulling out all of the greatest hits.
Cattle mutilation.
Like, we're just getting started.
Mr. Small Package. The crowd is chanting "Fight Forever," and I could not agree with them more than that. Like this, like if any match deserves the "Fight Forever" chant, it was this one. And it looks like, I mean, judging from the ending of this match, we're gonna get a rematch, ladies and gentlemen. Whether or not it's at Full Gear, depending on if Hangman is still on paternity leave at that point, that is a perfectly viable Full Gear main event.
Yeah, Omega goes for the one-winged angel, and that's when I got scared because I'm thinking, can Danielson take a one-winged angel? I know he got Dragonplex on the ramp. I know he just took the V trigger, but I fear for that move. Like, can Danielson take the one-winged angel and not die?
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, like, even then, Danielson had the most beautiful counter out of a one-winged angel I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Like, Omega gets him up, and then Danielson, like, freaking, Omega's, like, gonna get him down for, like, that Falcon Arrow impact gimmick, and then Danielson, like, rolls through, and then almost rolls him up again, and, like, it was just textbook technical wrestling. There is a reason why Mr. Meltzer actually named his technical wrestler award after Bryan Danielson. So that's because
and you know
Bryan
what?
Danielson
I'm gonna
is the
throw
best
some shade
wrestler in
out
the
there.
world.
Danielson doesn't need fucking Meltzer to tell him that. We know that Bryan Danielson is the best technical wrestler in the world.
Yes.
We not need Meltzer to tell us that shit.
No, of course not. Of course not. I'm just saying. But the Busaiku knee is countered into a vicious-looking powerbomb. Kenny Omega actually went for a Phoenix Splash, which is a move I haven't seen from him in ages. Kenny Omega was pulling out some of his greatest hits also, minus the one-winged angel. Hitting V-triggers everywhere. Danielson like grabs Omega's arms and does his Planet's Champion stomps right into his face. Again, this is like the greatest hits of
love that.
Not only Indies Bryan Danielson, but WWE Bryan Danielson. He was pulling out all the stops against the world champion here. But then he locks in the yes lock, and then the fucking bell rings as they're beating the crap out of each other. It's a time limit draw. Bullshit. I wanted them to fight forever.
But, when I got really into this match, it did like start creeping up in the back of my mind. How is this going to end? Because, here on the ZNT wrestling show, we like to be unbiased and we like to be fair. So when I say that WWE has booked themselves into a corner, this is an instance where I'm going to say AEW also booked themselves into a corner, because you have the world champion, who is the most protected person on the roster and should be. Always protect your champions, going up against Bryan Danielson, who just made his debut in the company. So it's just like, do you have Danielson lose his first match? And I was saying, if Danielson's going to lose, I'm sorry, he's going right back to what he was doing in WWE, which was just putting people over and not winning. But if you have him beat Omega, I wouldn't have an issue with him beating Omega, but you got to understand, it's still been a little over 6 weeks since Christian Cage pinned Kenny Omega for the Impact World Championship.
Very true. That's very true.
You gotta keep his losses very spread apart. And the next time Omega loses, it's got to be when the AEW World Championship is on the line.
Yes.
So I think
Amen.
AEW, yes, booked themselves into a corner, but, you know, the time limit draw is still a safer scapegoat than, say, a disqualification finish or a double count out, or there's no bullshit. There's no schmoz at the end. There's just, we ran out of time.
Well, and it's so much more satisfying because that means Kenny Omega and fucking Bryan Danielson can wrestle each other for a full 30 minutes. I gave this match 5 stars, dude. This match absolutely flew by. Did not feel like 30 minutes. And it just made me want to see a rematch more. Potentially, it could be at Full Gear. It could be sooner than that. But here's an idea. Maybe make it an Iron Man match. Just so, like, if they run out of time, like, WWE's not going to do an Iron Man match after Extreme Rules 2018's debacle in the main event. But AEW's got to pull out that Iron Man match at some point. So.
Most definitely, because I'm surprised we didn't get a 5 more minutes chant, because the fans were obviously upset that there wasn't a solid winner in this.
Yes.
But, you know, maybe my grapes aren't as hour now after talking about this match out loud. Also, a time limit draw is also it's a truly nobody beat anybody, as opposed to if the Bucks would have came out and hit Danielson, then they could have said, oh, well, technically Danielson won the match. It just shows that these two are so evenly matched that nobody won. Nobody won.
Not yet, at least, until Full Gear, presumably. And, like, you know, this is obviously coming from someone who loves Hangman Adam Page, and I congratulate him and his wife, and I wish them nothing but the best in their with their newborn child and everything. But somebody put this World Heavyweight title on Bryan Danielson right fucking now. I don't care how soon he's gotten into the company. Like, just strap the rocket to him. The crowd wants Danielson. They wanted Danielson to win this match so badly. I wanted him to win the match so badly. Like,
on the other side of that point, if Danielson has to lose to Omega, can we at least get some TV wins under his belt first? Have him win 3 or 4 matches. So just so he does, I don't want him to go back to what he was doing in WWE, which, you know, I love watching his WWE stuff, but you gotta admit, in the latter half of that SmackDown run, he was doing nothing but losing.
Yep. Putting over Cesaro, putting over Ricochet.
He wanted to putting over Otis, you know, putting over Nakamura. I understand that, but Danielson's my favorite wrestler behind AJ Styles. I don't want to see this guy lose. I want to see him win.
Yeah.
I want to see him win, and I want to see him win. I still adhere, even though he's not in WWE anymore. Danielson needs a proper babyface world championship run before he hangs it up for good. It has to happen. And if WWE was not going to give us that, I know AEW's got to come through. I know we got the Planet's champion. That was great. But I just can't get over the fact, I can't get over WrestleMania 30, and that was 7 years ago. Danielson won the world championship,
and he
only held it for a month after having to vacate it due to concussions. Yep. Danielson is owed a proper babyface world championship run before it's all said and done. And I will take that to my grave.
I agree, man. Yeah, likewise. But an absolute classic TV match, one of the best ones I've ever seen in my life. And keep in mind, Tomas and I have been watching wrestling for like almost 20 years at this point. You know, not to bury the lead or anything, but we've seen a lot of TV matches in our lives. And this is for sure up there. I don't know if I can speak for you, but this is for sure. Not in the top 3, top 5 easily.
I also have another point I want to make, but I think I'm going to hold that off until we get to Rampage. So keep that in mind.
Put a pin in it. Speaking of Rampage, you do have a brief interview with CM Punk hyping up his match with Powerhouse Hobbs, which we will get to. Just one note about this interview. Pissed off CM Punk is the best CM Punk ever. Like, you know, Taz was making him mad, putting him through a table a week before when he was a guest commentator. You know, Excalibur spilling his diet soda, and then Powerhouse Hobbs comes in and gives him a fucking power bomb. Like, CM Punk he really wanted to get his hands on Team Taz there. Like,
people gotta realize that the novelty of CM Punk being back is starting to wear off, and Punk can stop the smiling now, and he can start getting into, you know, really start digging his heels into some stuff. Like, yep. And trust me, I'm still mind blown that he's back in professional wrestling, but The novelty is now worn off. Let's get to fucking business now. Let's get to business now.
I can't believe I'm wearing this shirt right now. This is a new CM Punk shirt, guys. Yeah. I can't believe it. But anyway, my friend, what do we have next? What do we have on the docket?
Unfortunately, these two fantastic wrestlers had to follow that classic. We have Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF with Wardlow, taking on Bryan Pillman Jr. with Zack's high school crush, Julia Hart, in his corner. This is basically the blow-off to a feud that's been going on for a few weeks. MJF came out in Bryan Pillman's hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, and he verbally buried him in front of his friends, in front of his family, in front of his whole hometown, not only verbally, but physically as well. MJF, if this is the douche meter, he went through the freaking roof. There's no coming back for MJF now.
Let me just put this in perspective for the viewers. MJF is such a douchebag that his parents were at Arthur Ashe Stadium and they had a sign that said, "We're MJF's parents and we hate him too." MJF retweets the picture that his mom posted. He says, "Fuck you, mom." And I'm like, what? I mean, and of course,
safe to say,
there are loud boos for MJF because of that, because, you know, the cunt deserves it. But anyway.
Is it safe to say, I want to say behind Piper and Flair, that MJF is the greatest heel of all time?
Oh,
I know I just listed off some two.
Without question. And I mean, may Piper rest in peace, but like there is not another MJF. There can only be one. And keep in mind, this guy is like my age.
Too soon?
He's only 25 years old.
Is it too soon? Is it too soon to start comparing MJF to like Piper and Flair and all the other excellent heels that have gone through the wrestling business?
Of course not. Of course not. I think he's a fantastic heel. Best heel in the business easily right now. You know, Happy Corbin wishes he could be as good of a heel as MJF is, but also, not to discredit Bryan Pillman Jr., because he had a really fantastic showing in this match as well, perhaps the biggest stage of his career. Is it just me, or is Pillman Jr. bigger than his dad was? Like, I know, like...
He's getting there, and I think that's the goal.
Well, I mean, I feel like Pillman Sr. was wrestling for the Cruiserweight title in old WCW days. Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he was. Pillman Sr. revolutionized cruiserweight wrestling. And I think that's, people don't remember that side of Bryan Sr. They always think about his loose cannon days in WWE. They always think about the Hollywood Blondes. They always think about Pillman has a gun. And they don't remember the cruiserweight days. And I think that's what Pillman Jr. is really trying to emulate, which, oh my God, Bryan Jr. is a spitting image of his dad.
It is spooky for sure. But this is a really, really nice match to add to his resume. Definitely, you know, I don't envy these two for having to follow a wrestling clinic like Omega versus Danielson, but MJF looks like he is about to cry as Pillman is bashing his head into the turnbuckle. And then I think it was Giovanni who said this line. He was like, "Man, that's a great camera shot, isn't it?" I could watch that all day, you know, just on a loop, you know, just watching MJF get the shit beat out of him. The commentators always want to see him lose. And, you know, when he does win, it's all the better. It's all the better. But of course, the douchebag is.
I don't think Giovanni.
Go ahead.
I don't think Giovanni has hated anyone as much as he hates MJF since like the NWO.
Well, wait until Adam Cole gets his hands on him. So. Anyway.
Oh.
Too soon? Too soon? Adam Cole versus Tony Giovanni. You thought you were getting Michael Cole's son. He's feuding with a different commentator.
You don't understand. Michael purposely sent his son to AEW to take out his biggest rival in Tony Schiavone.
Well, I mean, not like there's a contest there. Tony Schiavone is miles better than Michael Cole ever will be, but MJF,
another argument for another time.
I know. We're digressing, ladies and gentlemen. MJF, it gets close to the finish where he's using poor Julia Hart at ringside as a shield, and then Julia Hart gets in his face. Julia Hart gets in his face to the point where I'm like, please beat the crap out of him, Julia. Please do that because he deserves it. But
imagine you are such a coward that you use a 19-year-old girl as a shield. What an asshole.
He's a jerk, man. But of course, they get back into the ring, and unfortunately, Pillman Jr. taps out to MJF's armbar, which he beat Jericho with before. This was
salt of the earth.
I mean, Pillman looks great in this match, but I think this was like this was a method to get MJF a win back after losing in the final fight to Jericho at All Out. But I mean, this is a 2 3/4, 3 stars, pretty basic match compared to everything else. On
and
this card, but...
MJF. This is MJF's redemption arc. I feel like he needs to start getting his heat back. But let me ask you something. Do you think MJF is treading water now? And if you think so, what do you think is next for him?
I mean, I'm just waiting for the CM Punk MJF war of words. So, I mean, like, I selfishly, I've told Tomas this. I'm actually considering going to Vegas for Double or Nothing next year, and I selfishly want to see CM Punk versus MJF on that card. But if they can hold it off that long, I mean, that'd be great.
Yeah,
but
because what I'm thinking is, once Punk, spoiler alert, is finished running through Team Taz, I think that's when you kind of start setting that feud into place. Because after, watching this match, I just feel like MJF is treading water. He's not going to feud with Pillman Jr. for too long.
No.
You got to get him back into something. And I know AEW will. They're not going to sit on this guy like WWE would. Just right now, I think they're just... I don't want to say MJF is in limbo. I think he's just on standby in AEW. Right. They're cooking something for him.
Yeah,
for sure.
I definitely don't think this will be the only MJF Pillman Jr. match. I think they're going to have another one within the next month. Maybe it'll get to a point where this is a sickening thought, but MJF might request an indecent proposal match with Julia Hart at ringside. But, as a callback to what Brian Pillman Sr. was doing with Goldust in 1997. So, I mean, it's an idea. It's an idea. Very, very tempting.
Also, now that you say that, we also have to get the eventual split up of MJF and Wardlow.
Because you got to push Wardlow to the moon, if I could quote Cameron Grimes for a minute there. But
they've been teasing that for a while, and by any means, I do not want to see Wardlow squash MJF in a match. I don't even think you need to have a match. You just have to have that split up eventually. Sure, Wardlow can beat the shit out of MJF, but I do not think you need a match between those two.
Wardlow versus MJF in a lights out match, maybe, but you
could do that. You could do that just so MJF doesn't have the loss on his record. But I don't want to see MJF versus Wardlow just as much as I don't want to see Omos versus AJ Styles.
Yeah, they're going to be split up by the draft.
In simpler terms,
they're going to be split up by the draft.
I'd rather have that than see Omos turn on Styles.
Yes, yeah, but oh boy, look at what we have up next. It's Malakai Black versus Tomas's favorite wrestler of all time, Cody Rhodes.
I got a bone to pick with this match.
Go ahead.
But it's not going to be a lot. I'm going to rant, but not going to be that too long. My biggest issue with this match is that, tell me, what was Cody Rhodes doing the last time we saw him?
He was about to retire after being squashed in 4 minutes by Malakai Black.
Okay, so when you do something that pretty big, you think the wrestler would go away for a while, and how do we put it into these terms? Remember when Cody Rhodes went away after Brody Lee beat him, but then he came back in a blaze of glory as a surprise and, attacked the Dark Order and all that? How come this big, huge thing happens with Cody Rhodes in the middle of the ring, and then just casually, like nothing happened, the announce team just goes, oh, by the way, Cody Rhodes is going to be back next week, and he's going to fight Malakai Black.
Again.
It just doesn't feel like it. It just feels like Malakai Black damn near beat Cody out of AEW, beat him so bad he had to leave AEW, but here's just Cody Rhodes just waltzing back in like nothing happened.
Yeah, and may he rest in peace, but by comparison, it makes Malakai Black look like a chump compared to Mr. Brody Lee. Because at least Mr. Brody Lee took a championship from Cody. Malakai just took a shoe. That was his trophy.
If Malakai kicked Cody's head off his shoulders, and if Cody can just come waltzing back in, like, hey guys, don't mind me, I just took a vacation.
Yeah, Cody can come waltzing back in.
If Cody, I wanted Cody Rhodes in a perfect world. I wanted Cody Rhodes to go away for 6 months and then make this huge grand return when, I don't know, maybe Malachi Black beat Dustin Rhodes to a bloody pulp and he's going to, like, I don't know, Pillmanize him with a steel chair. And then you hear the music and then Cody Rhodes makes his grand return. I don't know, maybe rocking a beard or something. Just
you would
something,
think.
but he just,
it's same old
underwhelming.
Same old Cody Rhodes with the obnoxiously long cape and his edgy wife walking out to the ring with him. No Pharaoh, however. Oh no, because Pharaoh would run away from fucking Malachi and his horrifying entrance with his red contact. I'm like,
which I fucking love.
Can you get a better look for Malachi Black than that? Tell me.
And here's the thing with Malachi Black: consistency. Continuity. To be fair, I do not like the fact that in WWE they took his eye out, but props to Malachi Black for sticking with it. He even tweeted Buddy Matthews, aka Buddy Murphy, that, hey, I have unfinished business with you, and he showed his eye. Like, only Malachi Black would have the dedication to keep the consistency of a stupid ass storyline in WWE going, just because he likes the look of his eye.
Jeez, and
he's still selling that eye injury.
This crowd, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. About that. That is insane to me. That's why half of his face is painted. Okay, yeah, that makes
exactly
more sense.
He's still, it's canonically, to Malachi Black, he still canonically got his eye taken out by Buddy Murphy. Again, that's why he tweeted him and said, I have unfinished business with you. Like, it's canon to him.
Excellent.
The eye injury is forever canon.
Love Malachi Black. And this crowd loved Malachi Black even more than I did because they wanted Cody Rhodes to lose so badly. Cody Rhodes was so frustrated listening to this crowd. Like, I kind of felt bad for him, but at the same time, I'm like, your character's kind of getting stale, buddy. I think you got to...
It is.
Like, you have to turn him heel at this point, don't you? You kind of have to.
Absolutely. Like, I look at Cody Rhodes now, and I tell myself, I miss 2017, 2018, New Japan Cody Rhodes. Hell, I miss Cody Rhodes when he was in Impact. I miss Cody Rhodes when he was the Ring of Honor World Champion. Now he's just stale.
Yeah.
And just his promo, he's eye-rollingly just stale. People have talked about it, how his promos are cringe. They didn't like, the patriotic one, and they didn't like the, all of that shit. It's just like, stop, Cody.
And he also has a fucking reality show coming out on TNT next week after Dynamite, by the way, Rose to the top.
He wants to be the Miz so bad.
Except, Cody's basically he's a better wrestler than the Miz, and I don't think we'll ever see Cody on Dancing with the Stars, but
But you know what? I'm going to say it. This is a hot take. You can say he's the better wrestler all you want, but Cody Rhodes is not and never will be a bigger star than The Miz.
Ooh. And Skyler,
and you can take that to the bank with you.
Skyler is losing his mind watching this, probably. But Cody does get hit with a black mass, and then he falls to the outside of the ring. Then he miraculously makes this comeback. The crowd boos. He's a face. He hits a Cody cutter and a crossroads. He gets two. The crowd cheers. And then we get poor Arn Anderson trying to interfere in the proceedings. He gets up on one side of the apron, and it looks like he kind of missed his spot. So Cody's telling him to go to the other side. Poor Arn at 62 years old tries to freaking, waltz around the ring post, and then he freaking slips off the apron. And I felt so bad. This poor guy with his Denny's menu, and then he gets back onto the apron, and then that's enough of a distraction for Malachi Black to spray Great Muta Black Mist in Cody's face. And crowd cheers when I almost called him Alistair. God damn it. The crowd cheers when Malachi Black steals one, rolls up Cody after a fucking mist spot.
did he need to steal the victory?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm totally with you there. This is
okay. Even though Malachi Black won this match, AEW, you need to get him the fuck away from Cody Rhodes because you're already starting to ruin his credibility. Get him away from Cody Rhodes because you know what? You're trying too damn hard to protect Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
and it's getting very frustrating to watch.
It really is. Yeah, get
Malachi Black should be doing one thing and one thing only, and that's kicking people's heads off their shoulders.
Yep. Could you imagine Bryan Danielson versus Malachi Black in a "you're gonna get your fucking head kicked in" match?
God,
like, who would they be
chanting? Give me it.
Like, my question is, who would they be chanting for in that context? Because both guys can kick their fucking heads in, you know? Like, Jesus Christ.
It would be a treat. It would be a treat either way, but I don't know. I didn't really like this match. I thought the one at Homecoming was better.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you there.
I want this feud to be over.
It's, man, doesn't look like it has an end in sight, does it? But
no.
In any case, we do have a very fun if I can talk, you know, I had a stroke there almost, but it's Sting and Darby Allin versus FTR in a tag team match. I see that NWO gear that FTR had to try and get under Sting's skin, but they should have known better. Sting terrorized the NWO back in 1997. And that's exactly what Sting did in this match. And may I remind everybody, Sting is just 1 year younger than Arn Anderson, the guy who in the last match slipped off the apron. And now Sting looks like he's 30 years younger in there with FTR and Darby Allin. It was such a fun match. I really, really enjoyed it.
This was a very fun match, and I didn't realize this match was happening until it started. But when you look at the magnitude of this match, this is like if this was in WWE, this could be like a WrestleMania match right here. Obviously,
yeah,
you know, Sting and an established star versus an established tag team in a grudge match. And here we are getting it on free TV. I think that's excellent. And I think they've been utilizing Sting excellently, except for one case. And I will get to that one point, and I will get to that to the end. Basically, FTR basically had the perfect finish in mind. They set up a steel chair when the referee is distracted by Tully. And Sting is going to set up for a stinger splash. He goes for the stinger splash and he misses, but he stops himself. And I'm just like,
oh,
that's where I got upset. Where I got upset because he should have hit the steel chair. And you know what? FTR should have won this match, but they didn't.
You think so? No, because
I think FTR should have won this match.
Sting and Darby Allin are totally getting a tag team title shot, aren't they? I think that's why they won this, but you're gonna be.
And that's
so
not
upset.
what I was thinking. I was just looking at this match, and again, I don't mean to compare so much, but people complain that FTR just lost and wasn't utilized correctly in WWE. Are they really looking any better here, losing to Sting? Like, nothing against Sting. No. But at this time, I don't think Sting should be pinning FTR. I think this could have been a perfect opportunity for FTR to get a huge win under the belts.
Better yet, Sting should not be making Dax Harwood tap out to the Scorpion Deathlock. That was actually, so this match.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you're right. Sting and Darby definitely won this match. Before I get to that, though, how long was Darby Allin in this tree of woe? Like, because I look over
long time.
And I was like, man, this poor kid's blood must be rushing all the way through his brain at this point, all the way through his medulla oblongata. Like,
you say Jesus that like Christ. It bothers him. You say that like it would bother Darby Allin.
I mean,
the guy who jumps off a roof for fun.
Yeah, the guy who people on Twitter were saying was in that Jaguars mascot costume, jumping off that bungee cord before the game against the Cardinals last Sunday, but. You know, Darby was like, yeah, I had the time of my life. He's just leaning into it. So even though even though it was not, in fact, Darby Allin, but there was an excellent, vicious coffin drop to Cash Wheeler, who tries to break out the Scorpion Deathlock. Eventually, Dax Harwood taps out. Tomas, you're really going to hate me for this rating. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. This was my second favorite match on Dynamite. These two really could go after.
No. That's fine. The match was excellent. It really was. I had a very fun time watching this match. I just don't agree with. I mean, I'm not saying I don't agree with Sting winning. I just think this could have been a big opportunity for FTR to win because I feel like they don't win enough. I feel like they're back in the same position they were in WWE. So I don't like this assumption that, oh, you're going to go to AEW, you're going to automatically be treated better because from a booking standpoint, sure, maybe FTR is a lot happier here, but from a booking standpoint, from a casual fan's point of view, it does look like they're just doing the same thing they were doing before. I thought their tag team title reign was criminally short.
Yes.
And, ever since then, at least keep them strong. And I'm sorry, they did not look strong in this match.
No, they really didn't. They kind of looked like chumps in this. And they kind of playing second fiddle to MJF and Stadium Stampede and like working in that weird disco club, like feuding with Santana.
If you want to do this shit with like 2.0, that's fine. That's what 2.0 is there for. They're, to get people to look good. And I think they made Sting and Darby Allin look excellent. But in this case, I think FTR should have won.
Yeah, get them back in the tag team title hunt because that match, like, I feel like they fought the Lucha Bros before, but not for the titles. Absolutely not for the titles. No. I don't think so. But
and again, that's a perfect example. We have a fresh set of babyface tag team champions that need some heel opponents. FTR.
Give them FTR. Give them
make FTR look like a threat, a legit threat. You have a whole ass stable of heel tag teams in the Hardy family office that are ready to fight the Lucha Bros. Like, come on, make these established tag teams legit. Established tag teams. You heard me. Established tag teams. Not
I take it
emo boy and his dad.
I take it you're not a fan of Sting and Darby Allin as a team, then. So
I am a fan of them, but compared to established tag teams.
Take a shot, everybody who's listening or watching to this, every time Tomas says established tag teams. This will come into play later, surely, because we still got a Lucha Brothers match to talk about. But your main event of Dynamite was Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D., defending the the AEW Women's World Championship against... See, Ruby Soho was just on Raw like 2 months ago. So, of course I would say Raw Women's Championship, but this is in fact for the AEW Women's World Championship. We are not in a time warp. This was the title shot that Ruby Soho got from winning the Casino
I know this
Battle
is
Royale.
Very off topic, but I think the last time Ruby Soho was in WWE, I think it was WrestleMania.
Was it really?
I think it was Mania. Yeah, I know Mania feels like it was a million years ago, but yeah, she was in that tag team turmoil, and then I think they released her like a month later.
It's already fucking the end of September, dude.
Remember, she was the victim of the 90-day no-compete clause, so
yes.
It was 3 months since she got released. But anywho, she's in AEW now. I'm really excited for this match. I love Ruby Soho. We stand Ruby Soho on this channel. I didn't know how I was going to feel about this match going into it because there was that lingering feeling of, oh, she's a brand new person that just came into AEW. They immediately gave her the title shot. Obviously, she's not going to win this match.
No.
But how good is she going to look in this match? And oh my God, did she look good in this match?
She looked really good, but I actually kind of thought the first half of this match was rather slow for my liking.
It was. It definitely picked up in the second half.
Yeah.
When Ruby Soho first came to NXT, I loved her. I absolutely loved her. And I thought she was an excellent wrestler, a different type of wrestler. I loved her look. I love her style. I love all of that. When she got brought up to the main roster, I couldn't help but feel a little jaded by her. She kind of fell into the same limbo as a lot of wrestlers do. I would watch her. I would enjoy her work, but I would just be like, she's another woman on the roster. Yep. This match changed my perspective on, because I've always loved Ruby Soho. And I was so upset that WWE released her. But this match made me remember why I loved her so much in NXT. Because she did so well in this match.
Yeah, Vince McMahon's stupidity is Tony Khan's gain for his women's division. That's for sure.
Damn right it is.
You know what this match did was it sent a message to every female worker in WWE's locker room, because I know a lot of people are saying that if you're a female wrestler, WWE is the place to be. But if you jump ship like Ruby Soho, then Tony Khan is going to treat you right. You know, he's going to put you in main events. He's going to give you like world championship opportunities, you know, like especially if you're in like in women's tag team title purgatory, like Ruby Soho was for the past couple of years. Like this was a really, really good match, especially towards the conclusion. Britt Baker missed a curb stomp, and then Soho had a beautiful counter into a single leg motherfucking Boston Crab, which I'm so happy to say at least once on this.
Yes.
There was
also, I know she changed the name of the Riot Kick. I can't remember what it was, but I remember liking it. I like the new name of her finisher.
I was calling it the Detonation Kick. I've always been calling it the Detonation Kick.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Figure out what she's
Go ahead.
it now.
Go ahead. I'm assuming it's Detonation Kick or something close to that, but
that's what TJP calls it. But I know that's like the default name for it too.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, because TJP is a default wrestler. But anyway, that's another topic for another
time. Hey, you watch your mouth, you.
But, yeah, so Baker hits an avalanche air raid crash on Soho, who kicks out of it. And then there is a curb stomp, 2 count. Seth Rollins is seething watching this match, I'm sure, just like he's seething watching any Chicago Bears game. But, Jamie Hayter. I know, yeah, because the Bears sucked on Sunday. But Jamie Hayter does run interference, and then that's enough for Baker to lock into the lockjaw. Wouldn't you know it, Ruby Soho taps out. This is a 3.25 star match for me, easily. A very fun main event. Definitely a predictable result, but I'm definitely very, very happy that Soho got the spotlight to shine here. But I don't know if I can speak for Tomas on that. I'm sure he likes the match more than I did, seeing as how he's a Soho mark.
This was an excellent match. I very much enjoyed it. I think this was, again, this really changed I don't want to say changed my mind, because ever since I've been watching Ruby Soho wrestle in WWE, by the way, just for continuity's sake, I can't find the name of
That's okay.
It just says it was known as the Riot Kick in WWE. It's going to bug me though. So I'm going to have to watch that match again and find out which. I just remember really liking the name. Anywho, I don't want to say it changed my mind because I've always thought Ruby Soho was a good wrestler. This reminded me why I liked her so much. This was an excellent way to get her over. And I know it's an overused thing in AEW, but she looks good in defeat. Please don't make that a thing with her. I want to see her win. She's another one. I don't want to see Ruby Soho lose all the time. I want to see her win. I eventually want to see her as the AEW Women's Champion. I understand that it's Britt Baker's time, but it's good to know there's so many wrestlers in AEW right now that I'm just like, I want to see you as champion. I want to see, and it's actually a possibility. I could name 10 people in WWE that I would love to see as the world champion, but I know for a fact it's never going to happen. We're never going to see Ricochet as the WWE champion. Hell, I don't think we're ever going to see Cesaro or Nakamura as the Universal Champion. But I can look at Danielson. I can look at Soho. I can look at Jungle Boy. I can look at MJF, and I can go, you will be the world champion someday.
Yeah.
It may not be today. It may not be next month. It may not be next year. But eventually, you will get that world title.
Eventually.
And that's how I feel about Ruby Soho as well.
Yes, yeah, I can't wait to see Ruby Soho eventually climb the mountain, even though I know this is Britt Baker's long title reign, and I know Thunder Rosa is next in line for that big rematch, but, I mean, Dynamite was a great show, but shall we get into Rampage? A special 2-hour Rampage? What do we open with?
We open with, for the first time in over 7 years, CM Punk makes his return to television, and he's taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. I thought that was excellent. This is a feather in Powerhouse Hobbs' cap. As I have mentioned on this channel before, Hobbs is a hometown boy. He wrestles up in NorCal all the time. What an amazing thing to put on your resume, that you were the first person to wrestle CM Punk on TV. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I'm pretty sure Punk handpicked Powerhouse Hobbs. Imagine that. So Hobbs probably had butterflies the size of eagles going into this match. And not to put down CM Punk, because I really want to give most of the praise to Hobbs. I think Hobbs hung in there very well with Punk.
Absolutely did. And, you know, that really, like, what you just said, how Punk might have potentially handpicked Powerhouse Hobbs to be his opponent on this card, I mean, that just screams volumes about Powerhouse Hobbs' potential, doesn't it? Like,
Exactly.
absolutely. That's a guy who I can see like 5 years down the line becoming the world heavyweight champion as well. You know, if you
Oh
book
yeah,
him
and
right, if you make him ascend up the ladder like the nice way, I mean, and Powerhouse Hobbs is already ranked number 2 in the men's division, which apparently the rankings mean nothing in AEW now. But like he was getting a lot of wins, and he was number 2 in that ranking. And CM Punk must have knocked him off his perch because, spoiler alert, Punk of course won this match. I mean, he had to. It's his first TV match in 7 years.
If you look back to Punk's promo when he returned, he mentioned, guys like Darby Allin. He mentioned Jungle Boy. He mentioned Bryan Pillman Jr. I'm pretty sure he was not just spouting off names. He was basically hand selecting the people he wanted to wrestle. And, the fact that he mentioned a guy like Pillman Jr. meant the fact that, again, he chose Hobbs to be his first opponent back. Again, it speaks volumes. My only issue with this match was that they had a very scary botch near the end.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Go ahead and describe it.
Hobbs was going for a top rope powerbomb. Punk tried to turn it into a top rope Hurricane Rana. They both tumbled down. Hobbs landed on his fucking head.
Did not.
I saw Punk crawl over to him and kind of like do the thing where he hugged his face to make sure he was okay. Punk, you're a professional. Hobbs was okay though. They kept going, but goddamn, that was a little scary.
A little bit for sure. And CM Punk's nose was bleeding after that too. I don't know how that would have happened, like with the logic of physics in mind, but point being, CM Punk was bleeding. A couple other things I would like to point out before we get to this finish is CM Punk does hit the patented Randy Savage elbow drop, points his fingers up to the sky, trademark, and Ricky Starks, a guest commentator on Rampage, with the quote of the night, he's like, "What the hell are you pointing at?"
Like, oh, damn.
Good
damn
Lord.
You, Starks.
Damn you, Starks.
Also,
yep.
Not to get off topic, but Starks actually isn't a guest announcer. Apparently, he is going to be replacing Mark Henry full-time on commentary.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently it just wasn't really working out for Mark Henry. I don't think he really liked the commentating gig. Henry is still going to be there, and Henry is still going to be doing the main event spot where he interviews both sides of the main event. So Henry's still going to be there. It's just going to be Starks from now on commentary. Which is good. And Starks is probably still going to be wrestling full-time, I'm assuming. But oh, yeah. That's good. That's good because, he's the fake FTW champion. But I should also note that CM Punk flips the bird to the green hook on the outside from the red hook, who for some reason was getting cheered by this New York crowd. I'm guessing because he's from a different borough. Gee, I wonder why. Yeah, his dad is somebody important, I think. Yikes. Easy. But I think, yes. I don't know. I think he does commentary. I don't know. I can never see him over the commentary guest, though. Don't tweet that to Taz. I'm pretty sure he'll come over here and kick my ass. Remember Armageddon 2005? I'm sorry, Taz, that I mistook you for one of my elves. Elves are much taller than you. Anywho, Hook tries to interfere in the match, and he severely botches it like any other move he would do in the ring at this point in his career. CM Punk gets a GTS on Powerhouse Hobbs, gets the 3 count. This is a 3.5-star match. Definitely a solid opener. Aside from that scary Hurricane Rana, CM Punk looked phenomenal in this match. Looked like he hadn't really missed a step in between 7 years. And by the way, he was wrestling in trunks again, aside from wearing the full-on tights like he was wearing it all out, which was super jarring to me. So different attire, but yeah, then he just goes back to the Twitter poll. He had a Twitter poll, and he asked the fans, what you want, the long trunks or the short trunks? And everyone said the short trunks, and I'm like, oh, come on. You guys are boring. Like, yeah, I know it was weird to see Punk in the long trunks, but it was something different. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you fans are no fun. You always just want everything to be the same. Well, at least he's giving the people what they want and selling ice cream bars at every show. And now he's holding fan polls on Twitter. So there you go. There you go. This was definitely a very nice, fundamentally sound return for CM Punk to TV. Definitely a fantastic showing for Powerhouse Hobbs as well, who took care of Mr. Punk here, but definitely enjoyed it. But and I know we just spent the past 5 minutes or so praising CM Punk, but this is the thing I wanted to get back to. in pro wrestling, you'll always have your Hogan and Andre, your Rock and Austin, your Shawn Michaels and your Bret Hart, names that are synonymous with each other. In today's day and age, we have CM Punk and Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson's better.
Yeah,
I said it.
Well, he is because
Danielson's better.
Danielson didn't take 7 years off. He continued to work, but and like this is not obviously this isn't going to be a knock on what CM Punk was doing in his time off. Like he needed to get he needed to get mentally cleared and all that. He needed to get better, and he looks like he's mentally in the happiest place of his life. So that time off was something that needed to happen, but I definitely agree with you. Danielson is probably the best wrestler in the world, oddly enough. But, CM Punk, he still got to carry this merch along with him. So this is what sells.
Oh, yeah. I just feel like whenever the comparisons are made, and especially on this show, I've always thought and always will think that Danielson is better than Punk.
Absolutely.
And I feel like Punk has, if you want to compare it, let's say Rock and Austin for a second. Austin, I feel like in wrestling at least, always had the more star power, but I always thought Rock was the better wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's like that. Punk does have the bigger star power behind him, but Danielson's the better wrestler.
Agreed there. 100%. But, the great wrestling does not stop on this version of Rampage because we get one of my favorite 6-man tag team matches of the whole year. It's Adam Cole and the Young Bucks going up against Christian Cage and the Jurassic Express. Adam Cole's
Wait, hold on, real quick. Who did you say? Adam who? What was that name
Cole,
you said?
baby.
Yeah, Thank you. I'm sorry. I am all about Adam Cole right now. I'm all about Adam Cole right now. I just listened to his podcast with Chris Jericho today while I was working, and I love that man. I love him so much.
How is one of the nicest guys in the locker room such an asshole on TV? How is that possible?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I don't understand it. Like, if I were to ever meet Adam Cole or Chugs on YouTube, as his gaming channel would indicate, I would want to ask him, how can you portray such an asshole on TV? When you're such a nice dude?
And you know what? That actually piggybacks onto something else I'm going to say about. It'll be in a couple matches, but I think you know what I'm going to say. But it's just so weird. No. Again, they play these characters so well that, again, I feel I want to be friends with Adam Cole now.
Yes, same here. I want to do the boom. I actually want to see him wrestle live for once. I never got to see him wrestle at an NXT house show when he was with WWE. But that's one thing I need to cross off is watching Adam Cole match live. But this was as PWG as AEW gets. This was so much fun. Oddly enough, Christian Cage was the least over of all 6 of these chumps.
This match was excellent.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about that spot? My favorite spot in the match.
The kiss spot?
Adam Cole has the camel clutch on Jungle Boy, and the Young Bucks, they start running the ropes. They're going to do something big. They're going to do something big. They both stop, kneel down, plant a big kiss on both sides of Adam Cole's cheeks, and then they double drop kick Jungle Boy. That was the best thing I've seen. Damn, that was one of the best things I've ever seen, honestly.
That was such a PWG spot. If you go back and watch
it really was.
If you watch Super Click spots in PWG, like a whole weekend of the Battle of Los Angeles, one of my favorite things the Super Click did was this was a constant thing. Every night, the Young Bucks would super kick the ring announcer after he introduced them to the people. And then the final night of Bola comes around, Adam Cole holds the ring announcer back, and then he moves out of the way. The Bucks super kick Cole on accident, and then the ring announcer gets his revenge and double clotheslines both the Bucks. It was one of my favorite things ever. And Excalibur was like, "That was a hell of a double clothesline, Angelo. Good job." But again, this match really harkened back to the peak days of PWG for me, like mid 2010s. But I wrote down what a cool choke slam. That must have meant Luchasaurus tossed Adam Cole all the way up to the fucking top of the building.
Luchasaurus was actually the one taking the most heat in this match. By the end of this, he was getting his ass handed to him.
He sure was. He sure was. And he ended up being the guy that took the pinfall, oddly enough. And there was a point, like, this is where I kind of nitpick this match. There was a point where the referee has just given up all control of this match. Like, he did not remember who the legal man was, and it just became tornado style from that point on. The Bucks are tossing Christian Cage and Jungle Boy off the stage, so they're out of the equation at this point. Well, actually, first, Jungle Boy had the snare trap on Matt Jackson, and then Doc Gallows ran interference because he was at ringside. So then it got to a point.
Yeah, oddly, no Carl Anderson. He must have been busy that night.
Must have, yeah. Either that or he,
believe it or not, AEW lets wrestlers have lives outside the business.
Ooh.
Take no WWE.
Yikes. But there was a beautiful dual bicycle kick spot between Adam Cole and Luchasaurus that just made me smile to no end, because there is no way that Luchasaurus should be as agile as Adam Cole is, but a man his size, he sure is. He sure is. If you go back and watch any Luchasaurus match, it's great. Absolutely great. But there is a very impressive Panama Sunrise on Luchasaurus. BTE trigger, then the last shot, as it was known in NXT, or the boom, as it's known as now. And Adam Cole pins Luchasaurus.
I love that.
Adam Cole was the right person to get the pinfall here. This is easily a 4-star match. It was very, very fun. It was probably my favorite match on Rampage, if I'm being honest.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, at the end of the day, this match was fun. And honestly, when I watch wrestling, I want to have fun.
Yes.
I don't want to be anxious.
Exactly.
Like I did with a certain pay-per-view last night. I don't want to be anxious when I watch wrestling.
Yeah, that's a...
it's bad. I know I'm getting off on a tangent right now, but it's bad when I'm watching a match, just like, oh, God, how are they going to fuck it up? How are they going to fuck it up?
Well, because...
Oh, God, how are they going to fuck it up?
Because you have a lunatic booking that show, and you have a very mentally sound gentleman in Tony Khan running this show. But, I mean, with that, speaking of unmentally sound, Dan Lambert was at ringside for this next match, and I know you want to talk about this, gent, so take it away.
I do. I feel like everybody hates this angle, but I like it. A lot of people say that Dan Lambert's an asshole, and yeah, he is. And that's what makes him such a good heel. I know Dan Lambert is in the MMA world, but you can obviously tell he loves professional wrestling.
He does.
He loves it so much that he wants to bring his MMA organization into professional wrestling. Now, to everybody who thinks that this is just some random old man, that just MMA guy that just randomly got involved in pro wrestling, go back a few years ago. He did this same angle in Impact Wrestling. Now, Dan Lambert, I think, is very good on the microphone. He is really easy to get heat. His MMA people, however, just because I said he was in Impact Wrestling does not mean it was good.
No.
It was a train wreck. I don't remember what it was, but there was a cage match involving Rampage Jackson and Lashley and Moose, and somebody else was in there, and it was just awful. It was so bad.
Then again, it was Impact. So were you expecting anything else other than trash?
I mean, in 2017, though, it was like, oh my God, it was bad.
Yeah.
Anywho, I just want to defend this angle because it's a little different.
It is.
One thing I'm not going to defend is I don't like the Men of the Year.
Really?
I don't like the tag team. I think you could be doing something better with Scorpio Sky.
Yeah.
Took him out of a tag team just to put him in another tag team. I feel like they were just treading water and they finally found something for them to do. And here they are with Dan Lambert, which is cool. I think they could use a mouthpiece. I think this is a good alignment for them. I don't know. You could be doing better with Sky.
Not like Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky need a mouthpiece, because they are fantastic on the mic in their own right. But I kind of disagree with you. This Men of the Year tag team has really grown on me. I really don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the way they get heat or if it's their angle.
And it's nothing against Ethan Page. I think Ethan Page works excellently in tag teams. He was in a couple tag teams in Impact, including the North, where him and what was his tag partner's name?
Ethan
Page, my God.
The North. I'm going to look this
Josh
up.
Alexander. Josh Alexander, where him and Josh Alexander held the tag team titles for over a year. he's really good in tag teams. It's just that it's not. I love Scorpio Sky and SoCal Uncensored, but when they took him out of that, I thought it was time for him to, go bigger and get better, and then they just put him in another tag team.
Yeah.
A little annoying. But anywho, with that being said, they are taking on Chris Jericho and Jake Hager of the Inner Circle. I can't help but feel Jericho is now in the same place as MJF. I feel like he's starting to tread water a little. Him and the Inner Circle are starting to tread water. You know what? I think this is a perfect opportunity to put over them end of the year. And spoiler alert, they did.
Yeah.
But I am interested in this storyline and seeing where it's gonna go.
I'm very interested too. I like to see Ethan Page work one-on-one with Jericho because Ethan Page is a fantastic heel. I think he is so underrated.
He is. If I'm going to nitpick, I wish Jericho's partner was Sammy Guevara in this match.
Well, Sammy Guevara is busy doing something, better with Miro, but
he is. I know they probably want Jake Hager in there because of the MMA ties. Don't be surprised if Dan Lambert tries to recruit Jake Hager, saying you're a monster in MMA. Leave this pro wrestling bullshit and come work with me.
That's what I was
probably going to get something like that.
That's what I was going to say is Dan Lambert might finally make Jake Hager useful in AEW. But anyway, so I'm just saying that because Jake Hager is an atrocious babyface. Like you cannot get behind him. Unless you put like a freaking like Patriot gimmick on him and like he's getting Let's Go Swagger chance in 2014. Like he's not a good babyface. He really isn't. Like
he's not.
I don't know what it is.
He's not.
Like and his moveset isn't even that exciting either. It screams heel to me. Like he's hitting Hager bombs all over the place. An ankle
I feel like he's babyface out of obligation right now.
Yeah.
So honestly, thinking about it, if Dan Lambert does try to recruit him, I hope he turns on Jericho because maybe he's a better fit in the,
and that would be an interesting
what's
feud.
His stable? The America Top Team, I think it's
called.
Yeah,
America Top Team. Yeah. So ATT. That would be an interesting dynamic. Jericho versus Hager. Maybe they could put them in like a Lion's Den match or something. I don't know, but like put a stipulation on it because that's going to be personal. But ankle lock on Hager locks in the ankle lock because that is definitely a heel finisher. Jericho locks in the walls of Jericho at the same time. But then Dan Lambert runs interference, distracts his future protege, Jake Hager. Scorpio Sky wins with a small package, and the Men of the Year go over. 3 stars, fun enough tag team match, I suppose. I think the right people went over. It was fine, yeah. But
I think this was my least favorite match of the entire Grand Slam between both shows.
Really?
It was there. Jericho and Hager then proceed they're going to beat the shit out of Lambert, but then America Top Team shows up. Here's my issue with that. They are thousands of yards away from you. You could beat the shit out of Lambert and just run, but they just let go of him and they let the entire America Top Team make their way into the ring. They proceed to beat the ever-living shit out of Inner Circle. I guess Santana and Ortiz were just too occupied with their match coming up, and Sammy Guevara is too busy,
That's what I was going to say.
Maybe he was stuck on the toilet, but where the fuck was the rest of the Inner Circle?
Right, yeah, Sammy Guevara is busy doing more important things, probably like winning the TNT Championship next week in Rochester, or Santana
taking
and
a
Ortiz.
Shit for all we know.
Well, probably. I mean, he's probably hanging out with Fuego del Sol for all I know, being a top babyface, but like Santana and Ortiz were backstage waiting for their entrance to come up. Like, why couldn't they save Jericho and Hager? Like, I realize
exactly. But this was a pretty big fucking beatdown to both Jericho and Hager. We'll see where this storyline goes. But just because it's unpredictable doesn't mean it's bad. Just we'll see where it goes from here. Yeah,
we'll see where it goes. But speaking of established tag teams, Tomas, it's the Lucha Bros and Santana and Ortiz versus Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade.
Before
go ahead,
we get into this match. So I had the privilege and the pleasure of meeting Ray Fenix at Roseville, California, Barrio Toys. He was at a meet and greet, and I met him, and he is so nice.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that me and Zack have always talked about is, why does Justin Roberts say Phoenix and everybody else says Phoenix? And we always made the joke, if I ever meet Ray Phoenix, I'm going to ask him that. And
And
very
he did.
behold, I had the opportunity to meet him. The toy store was really cool. It was a really cool day. I went up to him. First of all, he's really nice. He initiated every single handshake with every single fan. I thought that was really cool. And while he was signing my 8x10, I asked him, so why does Justin Roberts say Phoenix? Is that the proper way to pronounce it? And he says, because in Spanish, it's pronounced La Phoenix. And I'm like, there we go.
So
there we go.
He's King Phoenix then, because Ray is king, basically.
Yes.
That's what it means. So,
yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So from now on, we will be calling him Ray Phoenix, because that is the right way to pronounce it. And Tomas is going to correct me every time.
And afterward, I was sure to tell him, hey, man, that cage match with the Bucks, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. And he seems so, like, humbly embarrassed by that. He kind of, like, put his head down and came back over. He's like, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Like, no, man, seriously, he was so nice. And like what you were talking about with Adam Cole, I've seen Ray Phoenix be a prick in the ring. He fucking kicked Aubrey Edwards in that head to break up a pinfall. How can someone that's portrayed as such a nasty asshole is the sweetest person, one of the sweetest wrestlers I've ever met. He really was so humble.
Yes.
He is a humble human being. So shout out to Barrio Toys in Roseville and Ray Phoenix. That was a very cool memory.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm jealous, man. If I could drive up to Roseville to meet him with you, I would have been so there. But absolutely, this was a fun match. I mean, was there any doubt that the Lucha Bros and Santana and Ortiz were going to win this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because the Lucha Bros...
I mean, we had hometown boys in the audience. I mean, in the audience and in the ring.
And Lucha Bros just won the tag belts, too, so there was no way they were losing this. But, again, very, very fun tag team match. It wasn't as fun as the six-man tag from earlier in my eyes. I think this was more of a schmoz and a clusterfuck more than anything. But everybody definitely got their shit in. Everybody definitely did. But, I mean, this is a 3.5-star match for sure, just because of who was involved and, like, the work they were doing. So, I enjoyed it. What'd you think?
Oh, yeah. This was super fun tag team stuff. I love the tag team stuff. Every single person did their part pretty well. Again, Santana and Ortiz were the hometown boys. You got to put over the hometown boys. And I think I just triggered Zack just by saying that. More on that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that rant. Don't let me get ahead of myself, my friend. But, yeah, it makes me think of women's wrestling, which also makes me think of Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford on this card. This, in my opinion, I mean, the wrong person for sure won this match, because one of the announcers, I think Excalibur, was going on and on during Anna Jay's entrance about how, she's won 7 matches in a row. There's no stopping Anna Jay. Lo and behold, there is stopping Anna Jay. Penelope Ford somehow gets some brass knucks from the bunny, and she proceeds to clock Anna Jay square in the face with it after they wrestle for a few minutes. And then, Penelope Ford pins Anna Jay, makes her kind of look like makes her look like a chump in some ways. But
and didn't Anna Jay just come back like 2 weeks ago? So I feel like they should put her back on the winning track on TV. TV.
Not just on Dark or on Elevation. You got to give her TV wins. If you want to make her a contender, but a potential contender for Britt Baker down the line, like I think you can. Like,
also, again, poor Penelope Ford. She's treading water until her husband gets back from injury. Kip Sabian, please come back soon. So I think this tag team feud is fine. It's keeping all the ladies busy right now. But I think Anna Jay should have went over in this.
Yeah, I agree. But I give this match 2 stars. At least Anna Jay did not kick out of the brass knuckle spot. It does get to a point where you see the bunny and Anna Jay go to beat her up some more. And then Ty Conti runs out to make the save. She is hit by the brass knuckles as well, which brings out the Dark Order. And, there is tension between these two warring Dark Order factions at this point in time. which should be important because this next Dynamite is going to be in the hometown of their deceased leader, which makes me think that a certain Wyndham Rotunda might be showing up on Wednesday to kind of help ease the tension, but I don't know. I don't know if that's
rumors are running rampant right now, so we shall see. We shall tune in and we shall see.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if like Wyndham Rotunda joining the Dark Order as their new leader is the best way to use him necessarily, but we shall see what happens. You know,
some fun trivia. So remember, Rochester in 2020 was where they were originally going to debut Brody Lee.
Yep.
So we are getting full circle now that AEW is going to be in Rochester this Wednesday. Let's see what happens. I feel like we're going to be in for something fun.
Miss you, Big Rig. Hopefully you get a good show. But with that said, our main event is Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston going up against Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer, Suzuki-gun, in an unsanctioned lights-out match, otherwise known as a How Mad Can I Make Renee Paquette match. You know, because I'm sure Renee and her newborn child were holding their breath. She was probably covering the baby's eyes at all times during this match. But
this one wasn't too bad, though.
No. This was, without a doubt, the tamest lights out match we've seen so far. Like,
and you know why it was so tame? Because Lance Archer isn't in. Lance Archer's not that good. Oh, yeah. Here we go again. Here we go again.
I mean,
here we go again. Here we go again.
Well, Tomas, I mean, the clue is in his theme song. Like, logically, it should not be a tame lights out match with Lance Archer because everybody dies. But everybody did not die. So
everybody is very gentle with their boats. That's Lance Archer.
Minoru Suzuki was less gentle than Lance Archer was, that's for sure. I mean, chair jousting with Jon Moxley on the outside in the early going. Eddie Kingston gets into a chopping showdown with Minoru Suzuki, which is never a good idea. It is absolutely
He's a brave soul, he is.
Yes, but there was a point where Moxley was getting hung with a leather strap over the top rope. If this were ECW 25 years ago, Kurt Angle would have walked out of the building at that point. Just saying.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying. That is so offensive in some ways.
Yeah.
But, they come back from commercial, and Mox's hands are duct taped behind his back, which is a big yikes. Makes me think of Mick Foley at Royal Rumble 1999. But Eddie Kingston comes in for the save, and then, you know, this is another thing. I feel like the match has kind of taken a back seat because we do get a brand new debut, a hometown boy of Homicide.
That was so cool to see. Yeah. It was. And also, for people who don't know, right before a lot of these wrestlers had to take refuge from NWA that unfortunately had to shut down, Homicide and Eddie Kingston were a tag team at NWA. So it was really cool to see Homicide make a resurgence. And, you know, maybe Moxley wants to move on to some bigger and better things, and we can reunite Homicide and Kingston. I think that'd be really fun.
That'd be a really fun tag team because I do not want to see Jon Moxley in the tag team division for like any longer at this point. He is a former AEW World Heavyweight Champion, needs to be higher up the card. That's just my thought. Chris Jericho needs to be high up on the card. Mox needs to be higher up on the card, not the second match on All Out, please. But
like, my only nitpick is you saw Homicide's name light up on the ramp, and Taz goes, "Homicide? What does that mean?" And here comes Excalibur again for the save. That's Homicide. He's a wrestling legend.
Taz
New York wrestling legend.
Homicide has a great wrestling name. Homicide is the best TNA X Division champion we've ever had.
Let's just be thankful it's not 2004 Ring of Honor and the fans aren't chanting homicide. Let's be thankful that those days are over.
Yikes. Yeah, let's just hope Hernandez does not join him and border tosses him across the ring. But,
well,
yikes.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. But there are so many kendo stick shots as Lance Archer's head is inside of a trash can, and Eddie Kingston pins Lance Archer just like that in the lights out match. Not like this match is going to matter because it's unsanctioned, but yeah, 3 1/4 stars. Homicide's debut is the big story, but this was without a doubt the tamest lights out match in company history. No doubt.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, definitely behind. And obviously Moxley Kingston's up there, but still the best lights out match of all time. Dr. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. Nothing's
Yes.
going to dethrone that one.
No.
But I don't know. Between this and the Men of the Year versus Inner Circle, I don't know. I wasn't feeling this lights out match. It was all right. I don't know. I'm just not an Archer fan. I feel like Moxley can do better. I've seen Kingston do better. And Suzuki's fine. I don't know too much about him. Please don't cancel me, Japanese wrestling fans. I plan on going to that San Jose show, so leave me alone.
There you go. There you go, for sure. But yeah, dude, Grand Slam was quite the Grand Slam. Tony Khan, I think, put together a great wrestling show for a bunch of great wrestling fans. I mean, Dynamite is probably an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Rampage probably gets an 8. The lights out match being tame kind of knocks it down a few pegs. So altogether, I think I'll split the difference and say 8.25 for Grand Slam as a whole.
Oh yeah, altogether, I will say between these two wrestling shows, I never got bored.
Right.
And when it comes to very long wrestling shows, and I know it was split up between 2 nights, which is also a positive. I never want to get bored or tired watching a wrestling show. And I didn't get bored watching these ones. And you know what? This was a very good weekend of wrestling because I am going to jump the gun a little and say, you know what? Reserving all of my thoughts about Extreme Rules, which we will get into tomorrow, I was never bored watching either of these shows this weekend. So,
yep.
Like they keep saying, it is a great time to be a wrestling fan right now.
For sure, for sure. We're getting some great competition. So, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Tomas, thank you so much for coming back on. As always, hit that subscribe button as well as that thumbs up if you're new. Stay tuned for our discussion about Extreme Rules. We're going to be recording that tomorrow at the time of filming this. Next month, also, this is going to be interesting because Tomas and I were talking about this. We will not be reviewing WWE Crown Jewel because Saudi Arabia is WWE's deal with Saudi Arabia is a shit show. So we do not want to support that at all.
We don't want to support the blood money. So keep that in mind. We will be posting a poll per se about what we want to do instead of, and we've been thinking about some things. We may want to do an older retrospective show. I know we're going to continue doing the 2003 ones, so don't worry. You still will be getting Judgment Day, but we were thinking about doing maybe a more old school pay-per-view. We've been discussing some Royal Rumbles. It is October, so we might want to do a Halloween themed show, maybe a Halloween Havoc. We've been thinking about going into a different realm and maybe looking at an old TNA pay-per-view, a really good one or a really bad one. So stay tuned for that. We're going to accumulate our thoughts and put up something. So, because we want to have fun doing these podcasts. We don't want to be upset. We don't want to be sad. We don't want to be thinking about the bad stuff. We want to have a good time on the channel. So let's watch something that's going to make us happy, not upset.
So stay tuned for that poll to be put out on Twitter, and you guys can leave suggestions if you want to down in the comment section below. That's what it's there for. And also feel free to let us know what your favorite match was on Grand Slam. It was probably Omega versus Danielson, but regardless, let us know what your favorite match was. Let us know what your favorite AEW match has been so far this year. We love having this discussion with you guys. We love discussing wrestling, obviously. So again, thank you guys for joining us along for the ride. And as Tomas did allude to, you will be getting Judgment Day 2003 in October, which is a very interesting show, but definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, with that being said, I think that just about wraps it up. See you guys for the next one.